Hello everyone, welcome back to the third part of the story. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. Today we are going to learn the detailed summary of the story here, or the story or the experience of Gordon Cook, the narrator. So I welcome once again to the detailed summary of the story. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. The narrative describes how optimism, determination and strong willpower raise one's spirits and help us overcome all forms of stressful citizen. This slide is the exact content or the theme of the entire summary of the story. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. So what is said here in this slide? Anyone can overcome any type of obstacle in his or her life with three different good or positive qualities. What are they? Optimism, determination and strong willpower. Definitely these three qualities are necessary for everyone in this world, especially in the 21st century, to survive in this world. So dear students, the narrative or this story describes how optimism, what do you mean by optimism? Hope, positive thinking or confidence, in other words, we have to say confidence, determination, strong decision, strong willpower. These are the three main good qualities everyone needs to develop for solving any type of issues that are coming across in our life or in the journey of our life. So these qualities raise one's spirits and help us overcome all forms of stressful situations. 21st century is a century of tensions, worries and all. You know that people are very much worried about different issues that are coming up across them. And many a times people fail or fall or surrender under these negative thoughts, negative things that are covering them. So please acquire, gain these good qualities and leave erase all or eradicate all the negative spirits from us. The narrator was 37 years old businessman at the time of his voyage. Actually, this is a story of an adventurous voyage that was taken place in the year 1976 by Gordon Cook, the narrator. Or the narrator Gordon Cook at the time of this voyage was 37 years old businessman. Actually, he was a businessman in Cambridge. Actually, he was running an internet bookshop, and while he was doing the business, while he was engaged in different activities, he was thinking of the journey that was accomplished by James Cook, the famous captain. You know, he was inspired. I mean, Gordon Cook, the narrator, was inspired by the voyage done by James Cook. That is what is written in the next lines, you can understand. His dream was to travel around the world through sea, just like Captain James Cook, which he wished to complete in 3 years. That task was not for a day or two. He decided to complete the task. Going around the world is not an easy task, you know that. Of course, they will have to meet different types of issues in between. Here, he was determined, will-powered. He was optimistic, and of course he is now trying to imitate James Cook, who accomplished this, and he was confident enough to travel around the world, which he wished to complete in 3 years. He was along with his wife Mary, his daughter Susan, and his son, who was only 6 years old. Normally when people go for these types of adventurous tasks, they do not take the company of others, especially the family members. But here Gordon Cook desires to take the entire family. He did not spare anyone. He took even his 6-year-old son Jonathan also along with them. Not only the family of Gordon Cook, 2 people are also there. They are the crewmen who are hired from from South Africa, Cape Town. They also accompanied Gordon Cook at the time of his voyage. Everything went on well till they sailed down the west coast of Africa and reached Cape Town. So the first day, the initial part of the journey was very smooth, peaceful, but they expected something different in front of them in the ocean. They were determined. The trouble started on the second day out of Cape Town. They began to encounter strong gales. Gales means strong wind. They blew continuously for the next few weeks. Gales did not worry them, but the seas of waves was alarming up to 15 meters. They were not worried about the storm. Gales means storm here. Strong wind, okay, that blows. Natural calamities are originated from seas or oceans, you know that. Definitely you can expect different types of ordeals, especially in these types of adventurous journeys. What was the first ordeal they had to meet in the ocean? The strong wind. As a result of the strong wind, the waves was alarming up to 15 meters, which almost endangered the ship. The ship was about to sink. They rose high up to the mainmast. They means the waves. They expected the weather to improve on New Year's Day. Sadly, the weather changed, but for the worse. The weather changed, but it was not becoming better. It was moving from bad to worse. The family celebrated their New Year on board the ship. Next came a phase when the ship was caught in the stormy seas. As they are moving forward now, they had to meet different types of problems. But among these problems, they celebrated the New Year's Day. That is the mind, willpower, determination of the narrator here. People in these types of problems now will be tensed, and their mind will not be suitable for celebrating or entertaining for any type of entertainment. But here he was determined, means what? He was willpowered. He knew that these types of problems will be there. He didn't mind those. Next came a phase when the ship was caught in the stormy seas. The weather suddenly became very terrible. The writer thought that the ship would ride over the waves, but very heavily caught amidst the stormy situations at the sea. There was water everywhere, and they found the ship to be sinking. And this was the first time. This is the first experience that they are meeting in the ocean. That is death. They are approaching death. They feel that they are going to meet a tragic death in the middle of the ocean. Anyway, the writer thought that the ship would ride over the waves, but they are heavily caught amidst the stormy situations at the sea. There was water everywhere, you know that. While you are traveling into the deeper side of the sea, you cannot see the shore, nothing. Only you will be having a connection with the water and the sky. And what is the mediator between these two? The ship moving. There was water everywhere, and they found the ship to be sinking. Sinking means go into the water, to the deeper side of the sea. The condition was extremely helpless and very pathetic. Water was gushing, or gushing means rushing in from everywhere. And they thought that the water was moving towards them and trying to kill them, trying to destroy the ship. Debris was floating across the cabins. The electric pump was also not working, as it had short circuit. They had to keep pumping and steering all night long. The writer's daughter's head had swollen, and she had a deep injury. However, the bravery of strong-willed children is not worthy in the story. You know, as a result of these problems in the ocean, the ship started moving to and fro, and many of them fell down in between the journey and had met different types of injuries in the middle of the ocean. Especially the 7-year-old girl Susan had met a very serious accident. She had broken her head. The writer's daughter's head had swollen and she had a deep injury. However, the bravery of strong-willed children, these children did not leave up their hope like their father. See, that is why children is not worthy in the story, means their bravery is noticeable in the story. How? On January 4, they breathed a sigh of relief after having survived 36 hours of continuous pumping. So what they were doing, 36 hours, they were not taking rest. Instead, they were continuously pumping the water. You know that when there is water inside the ship, definitely that will be a reason for sinking. That will the ship will be destroyed easily, and that will be the end of their life. But they did not give up their hope, and they continuously pumped the water. However, their relief seemed to be quite short-lived, because by evening that day the sea again witnessed bad weather. But that was not the end of the ordeals. That night, that evening itself, they had to meet or witness the weather in very bad condition. This is the turning point of the story, when we see the author consoling the children. So at this situation, at this point of time, father was worried about the children, because he thought that he is a father also. He is not only a captain, he is the father also, and the children are there with them in this journey. And he wanted to encourage. Console means encourage the children. Okay, had to inspire the children. And he was actually thinking that the children are very afraid and they will be losing their control and will ask him to go back. But nothing can be done here, and therefore he is trying to encourage the children. And what was the response of the children here, especially the 6-year-old Jonathan? He said, "Father, we are not afraid of dying if we can all be together." Actually, these are the words of the 6-year-old boy. This led to the building energy and enthusiasm inside a very extremely fatigued writer. Fatigued means what? Tired. He was tired of doing hard work in the middle of the ocean. What was he doing? He was pumping water from the ship 36 hours without rest, continuously. He decided to heave and fight the sea. Now these words are really becoming an inspiration or building energy for, or enthusiasm for, the great father Gordon Cook, the narrator, to go forth to heave and fight the sea. The next day saw a very bright morning. See, fortunately, see, when everything goes on in the right path, definitely everything will be happening right. I mean, the next morning, next day, everything was bright. The problems were solved. See, what made Gordon Cook to think something hopeful after the words? He was actually inspired by the little child, Jonathan. Definitely that positive quality attitude made him see a bright morning the next day. He was welcomed by his children. They called him the best daddy in the world. He rushed to the deck and to his amazement gazed at the stark outline of Isle Amsterdam. And the inspirational words of the 6-year-old child Jonathan really made the narrator very much courageous and skillful. And the next day they were able to see a small island, a hope in their life. They found a small island a bit far away from the ship. It seemed to him to be the most beautiful island in the world. So please understand, finally the narrator Gordon Cook is completing his task when he found the island a bit far away from the ship. They anchored offshore for the night and they were welcomed by the 28 inhabitants of the island the next morning. Anyway, next morning they were able to land on an island, and there were 28 people living inhabit. Normally islands are no man's land. You cannot see people living there, but in many islands you can find tribal people, and they were a bit afraid of the people living there, but nothing happened. The people, the inhabitants of the island Amsterdam, welcomed them, okay, very politely the next day. All along, the only thing which filled the writer's mind was the undeterred courage which his wife Mary showed his daughter, who didn't worry about her head injury, and his son, who was not afraid of dying. So all members in one or the other way exhibited the courage, willpower, determination throughout this journey, which was a fuel, actually a fuel for the engine, fuel for the narrator to complete his task. And that is the end of the story, the summary. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. I conclude it with a short message that the title of the story, "We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together," is perfectly justified, and the message conveyed by the poet is that, or the writer is that, the story is about the positive attitude and endurance shown by the courageous family of the author in the face of the storm that had endangered their survival. So here I would like to conclude that endurance, attitude, please look at this: positive attitude, endurance shown by the courageous family of the author in the face of the storm that had endangered their survival. So survival was a question for the entire family of Gordon Cook in the middle of the ocean. But the different skill, the strong willpower exhibited by the entire family really saved their life in the middle of the ocean. Dear students, this is the end of the story. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. I would like to conclude this story with this third part. So thank you for watching these videos. I am Santosh, your English teacher, signing off. Take care. Have a nice day.